Hi. The circus continues. Now this is going to be a little bit long. I hope it's not going to be too long. I'm going to report to you a managing editor of Mormon Think. Now, I don't know a lot about Mormon Think. I haven't done a research and background on them, but it's a defense of the Mormon religion. There are people like the apologists that find ways to spin and turn and twist and recolor things that are the truth. It kind of is like turning a Volkswagen into a Cadillac. You just put different fenders on it, paint it, and put the Cadillac emblem on the middle. It's a Cadillac. Anyway, this has been a very approved organization by the Mormon Church. The Mormon Church has a tendency not to defend itself directly, but it's like PAC committee monies. They pay and or they approve, or people can write books and get publications out or whatever for things that are saying good things about the Mormon Church. Well, be that as it may, there's a young man. His name is David Tweed, T-W-E-D-E, in Orlando, Florida. No, this is not the Mickey Mouse ride down there at Disneyland. It should be. It's more fun than the Mickey Mouse ride. But anyway, I like Space Mountain. That was a cool ride. I'm too fat and too old to be on that one now. But anyway, it's in Orlando, Florida. Now, Florida right now, I don't want to get political, but Florida is one of those states that Obama and Romney would both like to win. Now, I just told a couple of blogs that I was going to make a video on this within an hour. And you know what? Another country has picked me up. I thought I was failing. I was only going to 155 countries month after month. I thought, well, hell, maybe the other people don't like me. Well, today I had 156. Zambia. Where the hell is Zambia? I don't know. But Zambia wanted to know about the temple ceremony. Anyway, this poor man, who now is going to lose his job, he's being fired. Oh, no punitiveness from the Mormon Church, no. And they're going to excommunicate his ass. So he'll lose his family, he'll lose his job, he'll lose his house, his car, his reputation. He's screwed. This is the court sign. When you go through the high council doors to a court, they have this sign in front of you and then one target printed on your back. So it's objective. It's really objective. 6 high councilmen for you, 6 high councilmen for the church. But all 12 high councilmen work for the state president, and you've never seen the 6 that are supposed to defend you, and they don't. It's always unanimous. It's always unanimous to throw your ass out. Well, here's what he did. I don't want it to be lengthy. I tried to put a link in so you could just click on it, but I don't know how to do all that shit. I really don't. So I'm going to read it to you. If you're interested, you know, go look it up. If you're not, don't look it up. Okay, now it's Mormon Think, and it's Wednesday, September 12th, 2012, by David. And we now know his last name is T-W-E-D-E, Tweed. And he is the Mormon Think editor. He's the big boy. Nothing goes out without his approval. Well, he shouldn't have approved this. His ass became grass. Now, I'm making fun of it because it's so typically Mormon. But on the other hand, there's a lot of sadness here because this man's life is on the line. If you're a Mormon and you're excommunicated, you will wish that you were dead. They make it so rough on your family and your kids and, oh God, everything. They are one cruel cult. And so this is like a death in standing in front of the firing squad. But let me give you an idea what the audacity of this man was to print the truth. Oh God, it wasn't, and it didn't stay out for an hour before it hit the baby center in Salt Lake City, which I read over there, and it hit the ex-Mormon, let's see, Recovery, Mormonism, Steve Benson out in Arizona, the Pulitzer Prize winner, and, you know, I'm just a little twerp in the group. But I do go to 156 countries, and I told them, I'm putting it out within an hour. I'm putting it out within an hour, and I think we can influence that the Mormon Church will not excommunicate him before the election. They'll put him on probation. They don't want to stir up in Florida, and especially at Disneyland, all the people at Disneyland holding flags, save David, save David. Anyway, I do think we have an influence. Here, I think Recovery has an influence. I think Steve Benson over at the Arizona Republic, Pulitzer Prize winner and great-grandson of Ezra Taft Benson. I think Sean and others of us who just simply tell the truth. They can't touch me. They can kill me. They can kill me. They can, you know, torture my children, whatever. I told my children, do you want a new dad? And he said, we've always wanted a new dad. When is he coming? So anyway, let me tell you what poor David has got his balls in a vice for. A history of the LDS politics. Will Mitt Romney be advised by his prophet? Mitt Romney will be advised by his prophet. I'm going to paraphrase this because if you want to look at it, oh God, I think, let me see if I can get, no, yeah I can, www.mormonthink, one word, mormonthink.com. So you can pick this up. I wish I had a link, but I'm too stupid to do that, and frankly I'm boring. I don't want to do it. I'm bored. Okay, Joseph Smith runs for the President of the United States. Now this is all history. This is all history of the Mormon Church. They don't want you to know this, and when David published it, they went berserk. They grabbed this guy in Florida, said the state president and 2 Mormon officials. It's the Mormon Mafia, I guess. It might have been regional reps or people sent right out of Salt Lake, took him in the office and began to interview him and say, you know, you are going to be excommunicated. We want to know the names of the people who helped you. And David wouldn't give that, so they put him on a stretch rack. I don't know what the Mormon stretch rack is. Maybe it's, you know, dangling 14-year-olds over his head naked. I don't know how the Mormons torture the Mormons. I'm glad I'm the hell out of there, though. Anyway, he got called in, and he's getting excommunicated, and they want him to rat out his friends, and he wouldn't. And David said to them, holy shit, this only got published a few hours or a few days ago. How did you know who it was? Because I withheld my name. Have I told you? Have I told you 1,000 times you can't hide from the CIA, the FBI, and the Mormon Church? They know who you are. They have computer experts. They're tracing this right back. There's no doubt they have people watching this. They have people monitoring this. They have people picking up the phone or the email and say, God, that Orlando story on David Tweed got out. Cry. Oh, I almost said my last name. Oh! The Danites. David has got it out to 156 countries in 20 minutes. So the whole damn world knows we're being a horse's ass as usual. Let's not excommunicate him until after the election, because if we tear up Florida for Romney, Obama doesn't need to have a campaign. His secret weapon that he's going to use to win the presidency of the United States is Mitt Romney. That's the secret right there. Anyway, let me tell you what else David said here. Okay, so, this is where in 1844 the LDS founding father Joseph Smith ran for president. I think 3 months later he was killed at Carthage. I'm pretty sure of that number right there. And he gave some general views. His platform, which his horse stood on, so if he had to run for it, the horse just jumps off the platform. Encouraged Congress to pay every man a reasonable price for his slaves out of the surplus revenue arising from the sale of public lands and from the deduction of pay from members of Congress. Now, that went over like a turd in the punch bowl for the congressman to take money out of their pay and set the slaves free, I guess. And then he said here, Brigham Young, later the second prophet of the LDS Church, announced that the elders would be called on both to preach and electioneer. I don't know what electioneer, E-L-E-C-T-I-O-N-E-E-R, and called for volunteers to serve these missions. He assigned 26 states to the Union. Joseph Smith campaigned President of the United States, and this was published for the Mormons. Look in your Ensign, February 2009. That's a pretty recent publication. The leaders once routinely used churches and missionaries to carry out political agendas. Oh my God, they haven't always been neutral? Is the atom bomb neutral? It kills everybody. They haven't always been neutral, and they're still not neutral. The next section here, church leader approval required for holding political office. I can see the Constitution of the United States on fire, burning on the wall, and the Mormons just stomping the shit out of it when it falls to the ground. Okay. LDS Apostle Moses Thatcher was dropped from the Quorum of the 12 in the April 1896 General Conference of the Church. Okay, because he wasn't in harmony. Now, they used the Tabernacle Choir. The word harmony means you're singing. But when the Mormons say harmony, they mean, you agree with us or we'll cut your neck right off. You can always see the Mormons who don't live up to their temple commandment, not revealing, they're all walking like this with no neck. Okay, so you had to get church approval. He was dropped from the Quorum of the 12, the political rule of the church, and commonly referred to as the political manifesto. Now I have to admit, I never heard that phrase. The political manifesto. This policy would have required LDS church offices to obtain approval, or officials to obtain approval from their priesthood superiors in the church prior to taking on, quote, any position, political or otherwise. Big government? Theocracy? What have I been saying? What have I been saying and coming up on 500 videos? You want Mitt Romney? You want a theocracy? This is how these people were trained and how they think. You will go to the church before you can run for any office or have any position anywhere in the world. Big government. Mormon big government. Okay, I'm just going to paraphrase that, because if you're not interested, you know, don't pull it up. I don't care. Pressure by church authorities to join political parties. Now, I always wondered, and I only learned that this year, how this happened. How come 68% of the Mormons are Republicans? Because they're conservatives? Because they're smart? I don't think so. Listen to this. Until 1893, the LDS Church had an established policy party, or political party in Utah called the People's Party. I think that's what... Is that what Hitler called the Nazis? I've heard that before. It's somebody infamous. However, once Utah entered the Union, they had to establish wings of prevailing parties, the Democrats and Republicans. The Republican Party in Utah, however, was so small and so few Mormons would join the platform, since it had been the party to vote against the church on polygamy and other matters. So the Mormons hated, in 1893, the Republicans, because the Republicans made them get the hell out of 57 beds and 57 women. So they hated. Big government. Telling them what to do, telling them what's right, telling them what's decent. Big government. We hate the government. Well, here's what happened. Here's how all the Mormons became Republicans. I didn't know this. Anyway, the LDS Church held meetings with stake presidents and bishops that were instructed to encourage more Latter-day Saints to vote Republican. Church members who were known to have strong democratic convictions were not asked to switch parties, but those whose commitment was not actually particularly strong were encouraged to change. Some of the era have said that it was more by assignment than by encouragement. In other words, every time the Mormons, I love the words they use. Court of love. They excommunicate you, cut your nuts off and throw them out the window. That's the court of love. Now, invitation. Invitation means It ain't no invitation. 2 Gestapos will be servants will be right on your arms if you don't. Let's have a chat. I love the Mormons. I love their English and how they use it, and I just think it's wonderful. So anyway, here's where the Republicans came from, that they encourage people to be Republican, and if you didn't turn Republican, turn your nuts into the bishop. Excommunication of members opposing the Nazi Party. What a history! How can these people think? With the internet, this shit is not going to come out. Romney is going to be president of a kindergarten class, and they may not let him be there either. This is the history of these people. Don't believe me? Look it up. Himmelm Huberner, an LDS in Germany, was a young opponent of the Third Reich. He didn't believe Hitler was doing the right thing. Eventually, he was executed in 1942 at 17 years of age by the I can't pronounce German. A few years before that, LDS prophet and President Heber J. Grant visited Germany and urged the members to remain in the country, get along, and not cause trouble. Grant also evacuated all of the general Mormon missionaries within that year. So he's telling the members, oh, you stay here, it's safe, and then he goes to the missionaries, Jesus, get the hell out of there. There's gonna... What a church, what a church. So anyway, he got all the missionaries out, saved their life. By the next year, German LDS leaders were known to support anti-Semitism. They hated the Jews. Now Romney said, oh, we love the Jews, we're their brothers, we're the Gentiles, but we're really adopted Jews. What shenanigans, what doctrine, who knows what they're saying? But here's the proof of what they did do. German LDS leader Arthur Zander, Z-A-N-D-E-R, was a fervent member of the Nazi Party. Who's surprised? Even to the extent of affixing notices to the LDS church doors stating, Jews not welcome. Auschwitz that way. Now, I put the Auschwitz that way in. He had Jews not welcome. In 1942, immediately after the arrest of leader Zander, acting for the LDS church, excommunicated the young man of 17 demonstratively and publicly. In other words, they just humiliated this kid. Now let me give you the, well, you can look it up. I'll show you. Here we go. It is, you're right, I haven't taken my meds yet this morning. Barbara Byers, Vanka, 1933-1945, pages 448 or 488. Go look it up yourself. LDS on civil rights and race issues. From its founding in 1830 and 1978, a decade after the civil rights movement and assassination of Martin Luther King, the LDS Church refused to allow male members of African descent to hold the priesthood. Now see, I didn't know this either. God, you live and you learn, you know. Even more, the LDS Church refused to marry, not in the temple, in their churches and their temples. Even more, the LDS Church refused to marry a couple either or both the man and woman were black in the 19th century and the first half of the 20th century. Leaders routinely spoke out against interracial marriages, even declaring, now this is the Mormon church doctrine right here, if the white man who belongs to the chosen seed mixes his blood with the seed of Cain. See, Cain is the black people. The penalty under the law of God is death on the spot. Death on the spot. This will always be so, said Brigham Young in the Journal of Discourses, which I've read, and it's true. It's in there. 10, section 104 through 111. The NAACP attempted to, do things and go on and on. Campaigning against equal rights. I told you this. I told you this. Oh, David's a liar. They hate women. They want women in the bedroom and in the kitchen, and in that order. And they were against the Equal Rights Amendment because they wanted to control women and control their vaginas. LDS involvement in California Proposition H, 8 on the gays. Over 25 million was estimated as donated through LDS services. About 45% out of state contributions to protectmarriage.com came from Utah. Over 3 times more than any other state in 2010. The California Fair Policy Practices Commission fined the LDS Church for failing to follow campaign disclosure policies during the last 2 weeks leading up to the election. So they cheated, they lied, and they did get a fine. Okay, now here's a list, okay, of people that's been excommunicated from the LDS Church. I remember Sonia Johnson. She was one of the LDS women that came out with ERA and said we should have equal work and equal pay and birth control and power over our own bodies. They kicked her ass off. Michael Quinn, he was a BYU historian who wrote several controversial tomes, T-O-M-E-S, on Mormon authority, was excommunicated in 1993. Lynn Whitesides in 1993, noted for speaking out on feminine issue. Paul Tascasco, an attorney, talking about the hierarchy and authoritarianism of the corporate Mormon Church. Maxine Hanks, she was a feminist theologian, and her ass is out. Lavina Fielding Anderson, she was another female that spoke out. Here's a Margaret Tascasco, a classics professor at the University of Utah, writing about the role of women in Mormonism, was excommunicated in 2000. Andrew Callahan, advocate of gay rights and opposition to Proposition 8, was hauled into LDS procedure for excommunication in 2008. Okay, this is a fascinating document. It really is. I'm going to save this because it really sums up many of the things that I have said. Here's the White Horse Prophecy. I told you about this. This was, let's see, would hang by a thread. Romney is, you know, the guy coming in on the white horse. I personally think he's riding a white donkey backwards, but, you know, it might be the White Horse Prophecy. The White Horse or Nightmare, another section to read. LDS official statement on politics. This is a comprehensive document. It really is. So anyway, you can get it at mormon think, M-O-R-M-O-N, one word, THINK.com. And you can also get it, if you want to read Steve Benson's report on this. He was one of the first ones contacted. This young man in the Mormon Church is just scared to death of what's going to happen to him. We've all been there. We all know. I resigned. I didn't get excommunicated, but I know what happens to people who resign and get excommunicated. So please, go on Recovery Mormonism, recoverymormonism.com, and go on down through the threads, and you will see this article with Steve Benson bringing it up, and click on it, and you can read for yourself that I'm not lying, or go right on the internet and pick that up. So here we go, 156 countries, and the Baby Center in Utah, and Recovery Mormonism. It's gone through the internet, it's on Facebook, and now I just put it into 156 countries. What they're going to do in Orlando, Florida, to this young man, David Tweed, and all he did was publish the truth. He is a 5th generation Mormon. This is not some apostate. This is a young man whose parents and grandparents and great-grandparents were raised in the Mormon Church, and he was born into it. Look how they treat this man. I love the Mormons.